to another novel writing vlog, and today I just wanted to give you a huge update that I have started my zero draft. Yay! I've finally started actually writing my manuscript, my novel, and I will explain what a zero draft is for those that don't know what it is. It's basically the stage just before you write the first draft, so it's much more of a rough draft. So basically I'm writing a rough draft. Some people call it a zero draft, either way. And before I get on to what I've been doing in terms of writing, I have been writing by hand. So I have been literally physically writing instead of typing, and that's just a process that has just been working for me so far. I know that sounds extremely daunting for a lot of people, and I was quite daunted by it as well, because it is going to be a lot of words that I'm going to write for the zero draft, but it's to help me to focus more, because when I'm on the computer, I want to go on YouTube, I want to go on social media. There's so many distractions with social media and playing with the laptop, I just can't. But I will definitely, obviously, for the actual more polished versions of the drafts, I will have to eventually use the laptop to polish, to edit and polish. But for now, I'm writing by hand. Before I get into what I've been doing regarding that, I just wanted to go over my writing goals for this month. So I'm probably going to be uploading this quite late, midway through August. So I'm just going to go over what I've been doing. So at the very beginning of this month, August 2024, I decided to really focus on what my writing goals are going to be for this month, especially since this month is when my students are on holiday. And since a lot of my students are on holiday, not all of them, but most of them are on holiday or taking a break from their studies, is a great opportunity for me to really catch up with my writing, my novel project. I decided to create a Kanban board kind of style page on my novel planner. I do have an 18-month planner. Yes, an 18-month planner that spans from July 2024 all the way up to December 2025. And I wanted to get an 18-month planner because an 18-month planner is going to cover a lot more months compared to a 12-month planner. So I just thought it'd be more worth it to get an 18-month planner. I really do recommend getting a planner to plan your days out, especially if you're really trying to be productive. So it doesn't just have to pertain to novel writing, it can pertain to anything in terms of your job or your studies. It's always a great idea to get a planner, or even a digital kind of planner. Or even just writing notes. That technically this is what I've always been doing, writing notes on my digital calendar on my phone, but I just wanted something on paper as well. So the Kanban board. What is the Kanban board? Now, I'm no expert in this, but it's an organizational kind of tool that people use, especially I think it was designed for engineers originally, but it can pertain to any sort of business project or work that you do. So the idea is that it's usually 3 columns, sometimes it's 4 columns, depending on if you want the backlog as well. So I created my backlog. There's not much to it. So I used post-it notes, little sticky notes, to vary all of the different kinds of tasks, because I just felt so overwhelmed with the amount of tasks that I had to do, since I'm also going to soon launch my editing business to edit other people's books, and that means that I am reading other people's stories. I just wanted to organize everything, to organize my days well, so that I can get everything done on time. I won't be religiously looking at my diary, my plans, and doing them religiously, but it's a good guideline to use, especially if you have so many tasks to do. So the backlog is all about just listing out tasks that you are going to do much in the future, not right now. So that's the backlog. You can make a separate page or even a column for the backlog. Some people do on an actual like A3 or A2 board for their Kanban board. I just decided to do a page on my planner. And then comes the actual Kanban board itself. This is what it looks like. So the Kanban board is split into things to do in the month or in the week. So I have a whole bunch of different tasks that I want to do in the month of August, this month, and then I have in progress, and then there's done. Obviously, very self-explanatory. You put a whole bunch of different tasks that you need to do, so you put that in the to-do column. And then there's the in progress column. In progress is all about work that you are currently doing, but it just hasn't been finished yet. So there might be certain tasks that just take a long time to do. You put that in the in progress section. And then once you complete that task to the fullest, then you put it in the done section. That's the gist of the Kanban board. I'm not an expert in all of this kind of organizational tool thing, but it's an idea that I found on YouTube. Other writers are using the Kanban board to organize their own writing tasks and stuff. So I'm just going to state some of my own writing goals. So as I said, I've got a bunch of YouTube videos to upload, so that's what the red post-its were all about. The yellow ones are all of the editing type of tasks that I need to do. So at the moment I am editing, well, not exactly editing, but like I'm reading someone's entire novel manuscript, an early draft, and it's a crime thriller. I'm enjoying it so far. I have to read the whole thing by the end of August, or at least that's the deadline I set for myself. So I'm hoping that I finish the manuscript by the end of August, and then I need to submit an actual like report, an editorial letter to that particular client to tell him what he needs to improve for his novel, what are the strengths of his novel and the weaknesses in terms of plot development, character development, narrative voice, world building, and dialogue. So yeah. So I have a lot to do regarding that. Those editorial letters are very long. I'm a very detail-oriented person. I always spot out the issues. That's just me. So that's the editing stuff. I've got other things to do as well regarding editing by looking at someone else's manuscript as well. And also I still need to launch my actual editor website. So I'm planning to become a developmental editor, so that's the actual job. That is about highlighting strengths and weaknesses in other people's novels, early drafts, and giving them feedback on it. So that's what a developmental editor does, and it is a very, very extensive, comprehensive type of feedback. They literally label pretty much all the issues that are in a manuscript, also give good feedback as well. It's not just bad. And yeah, and also we also have to give inline comments in the actual manuscript as well. So in case anyone is like, what's a developmental editor? That's what it is. So that's the editing stuff. My writing goals. Now my writing goals are, I'm hoping this first novel is around, doesn't have to be exact, but around 80,000 words in total. That is a lot of words, but that's pretty much, I feel like that's the average for a novel. So it's actually not that much compared to like other novels where they go over 100,000, but that's usually for epic fantasies. I'm writing a thriller, so it doesn't need to be that long, and I wouldn't want to write something that long either. But I'm hoping 80,000 or 75 at least. 75 to 80,000 words. That sounds like the sweet spot that I need to hit. Obviously, I won't be able to write all of that in just 1 month. I am not a wizard, and I envy those that are able to write so much in such a short amount of time. Some people are able to write like 50,000 words in 1 month. If you guys have heard of the NaNoWriMo competition where you have to write 50,000 words in 1 month, I applaud these people. Honestly, I don't know how you find the time. I don't know how you find the energy. I don't know how you're able to pull that off, but that sounds amazing to me. Personally, I don't think, I mean, it takes a lot of practice to write, so I guess you gotta like really love writing to write that much, but also have the energy for it to pull that off. For me, I have to be realistic about what I'm capable of doing, especially if I have other things to do like job and editor stuff. So here's the plan. Now obviously the total word count is 80,000 words. I'm going to split that off into 3 acts. Obviously there's 3 acts. Act 1 is going to comprise of 20,000 words. Act 2 is going to comprise of 40,000 words, and Act 3 is going to comprise of 20,000 words. And obviously these are just approximates. It doesn't mean that I have to exactly go for that amount, but these are just estimates that I'm hoping the word count would be for each act. Act 1 and Act 3 have to be half of Act 2. Act 2 takes up most 50% of the entire manuscript, so that's to let you know how story structure works. I will now be putting a video up on what I did for the very first chapter, which is actually my prologue, so I'm just going to give you that video now, which was all the way back at the end of July. Hi guys, and welcome to a writing update / writing vlog, and this is more specifically a novel writing update because in previous parts I've been novel outlining and also planning my year ahead, so if I haven't already I probably would have uploaded those videos by now, and now I just wanted to give you a writing update. So today I have written my prologue. Yes, my novel has a prologue, and it was it was a pretty difficult chapter to write, and I got to go to a lovely cafe. It's called Halcyon Books in South London, and it was a very long way from where I live. I had to take a train and a bus there. So basically I wanted to search for like writing groups in my local area or somewhere in London. That's where I live. I live in London, UK, and I came across a group that was literally like holding like silent writing sessions they're like a company. It's called Shut Up and Write, and it's basically to help you to focus more by allocating 1 hour of your time to write with others in a bookshop or a library. I think they mostly do in like book based cafes or any cafes, and so the actual bookshop is a cafe in itself. So I had a lovely hot chocolate. I'm not a big fan of coffee, so I just wanted a really good hot chocolate, and it was great. It was splendid and it was creamy, which I like. And yeah, I actually did it the old-fashioned way again. I used a notebook and everyone else was using a laptop. So that was a little bit awkward, but I expected that to happen. So I've been thinking about going to like actual cafes to write my novel. I probably will use my actual laptop though, because it feels weird to like write in a notebook in front of people. But for today's experience, so today is the date 24th of July 2024, so you are probably getting this like 3 weeks after, maybe. I hope I'm not too late. So in terms of my prologue, so I am writing a crime thriller, and it does start off with the discovery of a dead body that has the poor victim has been murdered and her throat was slashed. So that's all I'm gonna say. So when it comes to a murder investigation, you really need to understand police procedures. I don't. I'm not an expert. I was like, there was a bit of brain fog. I mean, to be fair, I did outline beforehand. Like you see behind me, I've done a plot board, and I've already done like a novel stream showing you the actual plot board in full. I'll just post a picture here. And yeah, you can, I mean, there's so many different ways to novel outline. I chose to do that method, to use a plot board and to make copious notes about my novel. I still don't know all of the details, and that's the thing, especially when it comes to characters' names. So I've literally had to like put blanks for certain characters' names, figuring out the detective constable's name, for example. But she's like a kind of a minor character, and yeah, I really had to think. It was a bit of a jumble when I was writing, because like you have to set the scene, you have to introduce your character, but then there's this whole murder investigation, so you don't want to go into too much exposition. So I was kind of like struggling to know, like, how am I supposed to introduce one of my main characters, the detective. He is Detective Donovan, and he has been working for the police force for around 15 years. Not as a detective. So usually detectives, they firstly become police officers, and then they become detective constables, or like a low rank detective, and then they become a higher rank detective. So that's the kind of career history that my detective has. Now this murder, so I had to do some research about how much pain is felt in a throat being slashed, and whether they will be able to talk if their throat is slashed. It depends on which part of the throat, like the jugular vein, the carotid artery, the trachea. So I had to do a bit of medical research beforehand, before I started, but still I probably made some mistakes regarding the medical accuracy, but it's just the first draft. And that's the thing about first draft, you are going to make mistakes, and mistakes are welcome. My brain doesn't understand that. I'm quite the perfectionist, so I really tried not to let my editor side, my perfectionist side, try to like take control and be like, oh, you've done this completely wrong. Because whilst I was writing that, I was hearing the other side of my head saying like, you're doing this all wrong. Whatever, bitch. Whatever, bitch. I'm just gonna get whatever I can done, and then I'll sort it out in revision. Yeah. So yeah, it was basically describing her dead body, like what they found, the clues that they found, the description of her body, and the description of the setting, which I didn't do. I kind of forgot about describing the setting, because I wasn't sure where exactly to put it as well. So I just made like a post-it note next to it. I'll just show you my notebook. This is a notebook that I found, that I bought from Amazon, and I can include a link in the description if you want. So to be honest, it's quite thin. I was hoping this would be a bit thicker, so it's very thin to be honest, but it's fine. It opens like this, very pretty, and the working title is Death by the Cards. Oh, Death by the Cards. I don't know if that will stick, but for now that'll do. And yeah, I hand wrote that, and my hand was hurting eventually. So yeah, I did make a post-it note to add more details for whenever I revise these chapters, and then I wrote more, and then I wrote more. And then I wrote a little bit more. Okay, so that is basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5, but obviously I didn't add every single detail that I was supposed to put, because I was just drawing in blanks. So even when you're outlining, you're still missing details, but that's okay. At least I have something down. And I just want to say that I think it's a great idea to join a writing group. So I wanted to join a group just so that I can make some writing friends, and I just thought it'd be cool to talk about the writing with someone who's also interested in writing. And believe it or not, the actual host of the writing group, she's a crime novelist. I was like, oh, I hit the jackpot with this one. I hit the jackpot. And she was so pleased when I was telling her that I'm writing a crime thriller as well. So I hope to see them again. They were a lovely bunch, all smiley faces. Because I was like thinking to myself, oh, I'm not sure how they're gonna react to a Muslim, because it's not very common in my culture to get into novel writing. We are starting to show some interest. I'm noticing that, but we're still quite a minority in the author realm, to put it. But they were very nice, and it was basically like a 1 hour session. Technically it went over that, but the basic idea is to at least write for 1 hour. It could be on anything, it doesn't just have to be on a novel. So the other girl, so it was basically me. I actually thought it was just us three, so the host of the writing group, and then it's me, and then it's the other girl. I honestly thought it was 3 people, but it turned out that there were 5 people that came in, and there was a guy there as well, and I think he was writing a crime fiction novel as well, because he was talking about some crime things. I didn't speak to him that much, but like, yeah, a lovely bunch. Unfortunately, I won't be able to see them next week nor the week after. It is July, so take that however you will in terms of date, because the actual bookshop is closed, and apparently I'll see the host in September. But obviously, I'm not going to wait until then to write chapter 1. I will still carry on writing nonetheless during the summer. And I'll see how it goes with the writing group. I think this is a fantastic idea. I think more novelists should do this. Even if you're an introvert, I am introverted. I'm telling you right now, I'm very introverted. But I feel you got to put yourself out there, make some friends. It will actually help you in the long run, because they can provide you feedback. Even if it's just a simple discussion, it might just help you with something. And also they can help you with the promotion of your novel as well. So a win-win really. Yeah, so again, the actual writing group is Shut Up and Write. In case anyone is interested, you can just type that down on Google, and then you just find which location, so basically it's a program where it can be done in any location. It's international, it seems. And the host of the writing group, she was asking me how the actual novel writing went. After I was finished, I was writing for like 1 hour 10 minutes, and yeah, my left hand was aching at some points, and my back was aching as well, because I was crouching down to write. So I kind of need to find maybe a stand for this if I am to write this somewhere else apart from my home. She asked me how it went, and I said that it went okay, but it was pretty much a jumble. It kind of felt a little disjointed when I was talking about like dead body and all of the descriptions and stuff and introducing characters, and I wasn't sure if I did it at the right times. But then I said like it's just a first draft, and they were like, yeah, a first draft is just you putting down details. You don't edit in that first draft. That's pretty much what they were telling me. And so yeah, that was the discussion we had. So yeah, it really does go a long way to have a writing buddy. So if you are just starting out, even if it's not a novel, maybe it's like writing essays or non-fiction or screenplays, honestly, having a writing buddy helps a lot, even if it's just acquaintances. Obviously I'm not close to them. It was my first time meeting them. I don't know if it's going to become a deeper friendship. I don't know, but I think it's beneficial, especially in terms of my mood. Anyway, Yeah, so obviously I won't just write just in those writing sessions, because obviously like the next 2 weeks, the actual bookshop is closed, so we won't be having sessions in for the whole summer, really. I think, or at least the next 2 weeks. I'm not entirely sure on the host because she said that she'll return in September, but I can still come into the shop even if she's not there. And yeah, I'm going to be looking at other cafes. I've had a bit of a hard time in looking for cafes that actually allow people to study. There are some, and there is one in particular called Kaila Cafe in Brick Lane. So I'll definitely be going to that one. Maybe it's in this one or the next one. I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna like edit all of this info. But yeah, just thought I'd give you a writing update. Now back to the present, or more to the future compared to that vlog that I just did. So yes, my writing goals are 20,000 words for Act 1, 40,000 words for Act 2, and 20,000 words for Act 3, but obviously these are just approximates. And for each chapter, I tend to like shorter chapters. I don't like books that have really long chapters, so I'm hoping to aim for each chapter to be around 1,200 or 1,500 words long. So that's only going to be like 3 or 4 pages, I think, in a novel. Yeah, so that's kind of the plan. And also I'm handwriting it, so I wouldn't want to write too much in one session, and that's been a bit of a struggle. I just kind of lose that energy after a while, especially if I'm not eating something as I'm writing. That's what I've noticed. So the second time that I wrote, which was to write the first chapter, I'm not talking about the prologue comes first. That's what I wrote the first time around. My second writing section was writing the first chapter, and that was in my female character's POV. The prologue was in the detective's POV, so it was a complete change in POV, so I had to kind of find a way to make their voices distinct, and I think I've managed to do that because my female character is more emotional and more empathetic with her reactions and feelings, so I'm hoping that that comes across well. And the thing that I didn't really think about, and I should have. So I'm someone who plans a lot. Obviously, as you guys know, I've planned out what the actual plot would be. That's why I created the plot board, and that's also why I also just been like really looking at what the scenes would be for each chapter as well. But what I didn't think about was what my POV is going to be. I always knew that I was going to stick with first person, because I like the idea of personal thoughts and feelings being explored, but I didn't think about whether to write in the past tense or present tense. So I wasn't sure which way to go. Am I supposed to write in present tense? Because I was just seeing a lot of first person novels being written in the present tense, and I was like, this just sounds weird. Am I the only one who doesn't like that? I mean, it's okay, like I'd still read the book, but I just love the past tense. I don't know, I'm just so used to it, like and I was like, am I even allowed to do that? Like, am I allowed to write first person in past tense? Is that going to piss a lot of people off or something? Because I think it's more of a recent trend for first person POV to be in the present tense, like in the Hunger Games, for example, is in first person present tense, but I wrote in the first person past tense, so I'm just hoping it's so good in terms of beta reader feedback. Yeah, so that's the issue that I came across when I was writing. Oh gosh, writing is hard. Flipping out, the amount of details you have to give. You have to describe your surroundings, like what the actual location looks like, but also keep in mind what the actual plot is. So I had to, because I haven't thought too much about location, I was thinking more about what the actual plot is and my character's development. Location, you gotta describe it. And obviously as a zero draft. So what I mean by zero draft is a rough draft. It's allowed to be sloppy at this stage. It's allowed to not be perfect in any sort of way. It's allowed to be quite rubbish at this stage. I'm not saying that it is rubbish, but I definitely know I've made some issues with the way that I wrote some things, but that's okay. Like, once I get onto the self-editing stage, then I'll fix that up. The writing goal is to at least get 12,000 words done by the end of August, because I know what I'm like. I'm not someone who can write that much in such a short space of time, so I have to be realistic. So if it's 12,000 words, then that means it's probably going to be around 10 chapters, and that's not even going to finish Act 1, because Act 1 would have to reach the 20,000 mark. So I would basically be done with like half of Act 1 by the end of August, but I'm hoping to go through at least 2/3 of Act 1 instead of half. 2/3 is more than 1/2. So I don't know, I'm just hoping I reach that 12,000 word mark, even if it's not as 10 chapters, but at least that kind of mark. If it's 20,000 words for Act 1, that's probably going to constitute around, honestly, I don't know how many chapters that's going to be, because it's going to be 1,500 per words per chapter roughly. But the thing is, the story can break up at random moments, so I don't want to say an actual estimate for chapters, but Act 1 is definitely half of Act 2, and so on. I'm probably going to be changing certain things in terms of story as well. I'm noticing that I probably will as I keep writing, but that's okay. The plot that I envisioned and outlined before is just as a guideline. It doesn't mean that I have to strictly follow it, but yeah, that's what I've been doing. And when I did write that first chapter, I went to an actual cafe, a local cafe. The food was great. The drink, I had a hot chocolate again, and I also had a slice of red velvet cake. That was delicious. So I might go to writing cafes. I won't do it for like every single writing session. By the time that I upload this, it's probably I probably would have at least gotten like the first 5 chapters done at the very least. I won't go to a cafe like for like every writing session. I will also go to the library and find other ways to fix my writing routine. I find it hard to write at home, but I'll see how I go. Anyway, so that's just a writing goals update, and also a writing update as well, since I have started drafting. Let me know if you're currently writing a novel, or if you're interested or want to ask any questions regarding novel writing. I'm happy to help. And when will the next novel writing update be? I guess at the start of September, so you guys can know how I've done in the month of August. I think that would logically make sense. Stay tuned for more.